Um, I fought as an infantryman in the hills of the Central Highlands at first, and then shortly before the Tet Offensive of 1968, my unit, which was the 1st Battalion, 8th Cavalry, also known as the 1st of the 8th, of the 1st Cavalry Division, was moved northward to support and reinforce the Marine Corps forces in the northern zone, the I Corps. We didn't much care about moving north. We knew that there was going to be a different kind of war to be fought up there because I had mentioned before, I believe, that we were fighting primarily Viet Cong in the Central Highlands, and up in the I Corps, it was generally North Vietnamese regulars who were a lot harder, and by harder I mean more conventional as a fighting force. And the war for me and the unit I was in changed from being a guerrilla war to being more of a conventional war. So we were taken in transport planes, which was unique, and landed outside of Quang Tri, which was the capital of Quang Tri province, and assigned to build two, in the 1st Air Cavalry we called landing zones, because we had helicopters pretty much everywhere. One was Landing Zone Betty. Landing Zone Betty was built on the east side of Quang Tri. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it was the east side. The west side was the side that my unit was stationed on. And that was LZ Sharon. LZ Sharon was on the west side of Quang Tri, and we were assigned for the first 6 weeks that we were in the north area to rotate with other units. We would build the landing zone, and they would patrol for a period of 2 weeks, and then we would go out and patrol, and they would build, and then they would come back, and it was a rotational thing. So it gave me an opportunity to kind of get used to this new terrain, the new enemy, so to speak, and the way they fought, a little at a time, not having to just throw me into a rice paddy and say, you're on your own. So the work was hard, building was hard. It was on, there was a French fort there before, so a lot of clearing had been done already, and it was mostly our job to reinforce it, to string concertina wire or barbed wire, to build bunkers, to set up artillery emplacements, to set up machine gun emplacements, our general defenses. This all happened in late December, after Christmas, and January of 1967-68, about 90% of it in January, as I remember, of 68, leading up to the Tet Offensive. We knew that we were up there because there was something brewing. We knew that being an infantryman, I wasn't privy to that information from the top, but rumors are very hard to stop once they get started. And the rumor was that something big was going to be happening. In addition to that, there was a unit of Marines that were besieged at a place called Quezon. And Quezon was west of us. And the other possibility for moving us north was an all-out assault on Quezon to remove 44,000 NVA that were surrounding it. and to relieve the Marine force that was currently cut off from everyone. The operation actually did happen. I wasn't a part of it. They were holding us in reserve to fight in what they knew was going to be the Tet Offensive, but actually hadn't come yet. I forgot the name of the operation I went into Quezon. Just slipped my mind. At any rate, Tet Offensive, 1968. Possibly the worst time in Vietnam for me and thousands of others. We had actually, my unit knew that Tet was coming, not the offensive, but Tet, the Lunar New Year was coming, and that the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong had agreed to a truce, a 7-day truce to celebrate the Lunar New Year, and the Americans and South Vietnamese had agreed. So we were all looking forward to taking a break, essentially no fighting, no shooting, no nothing. We were put on top of a hilltop overlooking Quang Tri, and we dug in, had our perimeter set up, and we were going to just sit back and relax for a period of 7 days. And we believed that the truce was actually going to happen. So they set us up, everything got in place, the fighting positions were dug, the sleeping holes were dug, we cleaned our weapons. It got to a point where there was nothing to do, so I'm going to be really frank here. Essentially, once everything was done, we just decided, let's all get stoned. So there was marijuana going around. There were hard drugs going around, but the two rules we had is never smoke never do anything heavy to marijuana, and number two was don't do anything in the field. Don't do anything when somebody's life is at stake. Sometimes when you were pulled off of the front and you actually got an opportunity to go back someplace secure, marijuana was the only way you could sleep. The sights, the sounds, the memories, the worries, the anxieties, the sheer terror of the place often just kept you awake all night. Grass actually did a good job of taking all of that away and letting you just get a decent night's sleep. So the rules were, when there was a chance that you would be called up to act as a reinforcement force, a quick reaction force for a unit, when there was any chance of you being hit at night, by an attacking force, everybody was straight, everybody was down. But when you knew you had a break and there really wasn't a chance of being attacked or being called up, and there were some times like that, then it was okay to get stoned because it relaxed you, and there was so few opportunities to relax. So that particular night, I won't say all of us got stoned. I don't know what other people were doing. I know I certainly got stoned, and my squad with me, and we were busy sitting in our foxholes and singing old doo-wop songs to each other and kind of having a great old time. And the first news I got that something big was happening was the radios became active.